Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Coffee Shop's Soundstage, sponsored by SRS Distribution. My name's Karen Edwards. We're live at the International Roofing Expo in Las Vegas, and I am talking to Chris from the National Roofing Contractors Association. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to get the opportunity to talk with you guys today. That's
So
great.
tell
Yeah.
everybody, introduce yourself, tell everyone out there what your role is with NRCA.
Sure. So I'm Chris Navarro. I am the manager of membership sales and Spanish relations for NRCA, the National Roofing Contractors Association. The Spanish relations side is actually something that's new to me, not new to the association, but we've been really growing our Hispanic outreach, if you will. We recognize it's maybe 60 to 70% of the roofing workforce is Hispanic, and
Right?
there's not a ton of content out there for them. I know you guys do a great job on your end, and there's a ton of people on the trade show floor that do as well, but we definitely want to continue to grow that and make sure that it's the information and resources we have and everyone has is accessible to everyone. So,
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
that's so important. And Chris is an influencer with our RCS and Espanol initiative. So thank you.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course, it's a pleasure.
we appreciate the content that you contribute, and you're one of the reasons why we're able to put that content out there that's specific to that part of the population.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's been an interesting journey so far because I'll say my first Hispanic event may have been 5 years ago or so, and to see that size crowd today and where it's at today, it's a massive increase. We see a lot more representation. I mean, even in this trade show floor itself, as I'm looking around the room, I'm taking mental note of, what's the male to female breakdown, what ethnicities are you seeing represented at a show? And the roofing industry is immensely diverse.
Yes.
So seeing more representation isn't just important because it's great to see, but I think when it comes to the jobs that we do, it's important that we both acknowledge those groups, but also give them the opportunity to have their voices heard
Yeah.
because they have such unique challenges in their world, and without hearing it, we'd never able to really address them. So.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, this is the place to really spread the word, both
Yeah.
here on the soundstage and on the trade show floor. So, have you been working in the booth, hanging out there most of the time? And what kind of conversations are you having? What are
Yeah.
people interested in, and what do they want to know?
Yeah, so definitely been at the booth the entire time for the most part, other than a few receptions I've had to jump out for. But yeah, the conversations have been interesting. I'll say there's a lot of what I would call cautious optimism. People there's a lot of stuff going on in the industry, some of it good, a lot of it bad. But I think where the optimism comes from is the brunt of it was really when it first came out and we didn't know how to react, and we're starting
Yeah.
to realize there's resources coming out on how do we handle, for example, an ice visit, right? How are we to prepare
Yes.
for that? The uncertainty of the market, for example, not as bad as it was, but I think we're a little bit more prepared for it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm seeing a lot more optimism. I'll say the other thing that's come up quite a bit is the ongoing, workforce slash labor issues that are going on in the industry.
Right.
I hear a lot of it, and historically, we've always heard a lot of it, but I think that as time goes on, we at NRCA, and I know this is true for a lot of folks everywhere, are paying more attention to it and doing more about it.
Right.
So being able to hear it and not just say, hey, we're working on it, but here's the progress we've seen and here are some things you may not know about, has been great to do at the
Yeah.
booth. So
Yeah, the involvement in Skills USA,
yeah.
has been huge. It's great to see roofing in there. Just that general awareness and letting people know that the roofing industry, you can have a good career here.
Oh yeah.
Lots of people do.
I'll tell you that was one of the coolest things. So I've been around the industry for about 6 or 7 years now. And one of the coolest things that I remember seeing is, I would meet some 25, 20 something year old contractor, and I'd ask him about size of his company and the crews he was running. And I was surprised at how large some of these companies were. And I think that for a lot of folks coming, middle school, high school era, looking into a trade potentially, they don't always see that right away, that there's a lot of opportunity here. And that's not limited to just the installers themselves, but there's
Right.
so many other roles within the roofing industry that we want to grow
Right.
exposure to. I know in Skills USA you mentioned that
Yes.
this year, I think we got maybe 25 or so state directors and 20 or so CTE teachers that haven't
Nice.
previously had exposure into the roofing industry at the show.
Yeah.
And that's huge because they were previously representing, I want to say it's 112, 114 trades. And
It's a
for a
lot.
lot of these states, roofing wasn't at the table.
Right.
And definitely doing a disservice. And then you wonder why we have so many issues in the workforce and labor side. So
Yeah.
it was exciting. A lot of them came by the booth
Yeah.
after kind of walking around, and they were super excited about what they saw on the trade show floor, the technology, the passion you see from the contractor base.
Yep.
So no, it's been amazing to say the
Yeah.
least. Yeah.
Yeah, and we always encourage contractors to get involved, right? To get involved, to talk to the schools, and the students that were competing in the roofing competition at the national competition in Atlanta last year. We were fortunate to interview several of them, and I asked the question. It's like, well, how did you find out about roofing? You know, what caused you to want to learn more about roofing and be involved. And every one of them said the same thing. They said, someone came to our class and talked about it.
Yeah.
It's that easy. And I know NRCA has everybody in every state who to contact, who to talk to. If you want to, spend some time at your local tech school and talk a little bit about roofing, just reach out to NRCA because that resource is invaluable and they can connect you.
So I think our portal for CPE schools is maybe around 1,000 or so people on our website. Middle schools, high schools, technical schools,
Yeah.
vocational schools. It's huge. There was a keynote I saw a while back, and they were talking about and maybe this was rehearsed, maybe it was just on the whim, but the speaker was saying that they went to Chipotle and they saw this banner that said, careers at Chipotle, opportunities for growth, 401k, health insurance, dental insurance, and I think what the point of why he was pointing that out is if you have an installer that isn't getting that at their job and they go to Chipotle, they can visually see a career path,
Right.
painted out for them. And I think if we're not doing that in the roofing industry, again, we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's where NRCA has taken a an active role really in helping
Yes.
define what that career path could look like, both
Yeah.
from the training aspect. We have a training program called Training for Roof Application Careers.
Yep.
We work with NCCER on developing an apprenticeship program with it. It's in technical schools and vocational schools in a reworked format. But I think you have to start defining that. It's how do you get people in? It's how do you get them trained and up
Yes.
to speed? But it's also what does that continued education look like? You don't want to just forget
Right.
about those people. You want to continue to allow them to have opportunities for growth and ultimately, have a way to stand out and incomes or certification program,
Right.
right? Certifying installers and foremen in a way that we haven't seen because in this industry, we think certification, we think manufacturer certification,
Right. Right.
which has a lot of value, but we don't have this nationally recognized, brand agnostic approach to it the way that some of the other trades do.
Exactly.
And I think that's the power of pro certification. It is something that is not only a milestone in that career path, but it's also a way for contractors to stand out. I mean, we look at a state by state breakdown of what states require licensing,
Right.
which ones don't, and even the ones that do, oftentimes it's just, oh, hey, you just need to have insurance, or you need it in commercial but not
Right.
residential.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
throws you for a spin because it's like, what? Well, how do we know that the people going in are good actors?
Right.
And we start to see those effects of the tarnished industry image a few times. And when I talk to contractors from different states, especially in certain states like Texas, where
Right.
it's the wild, wild west.
Yes.
So
Literally. Yeah.
and that's been a lot of the conversations I've been having. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. Okay. It was great talking to you, Chris.
likewise, it was a
Yeah.
pleasure.
Thanks for being
Yeah,
here and for sharing. And if you're coming up to the show, there's a couple of hours left. Stop by the NRCA booth. They have a prize wheel. You
that's
can
right.
win yourself a T-shirt or some other fun prizes, and then get more information about how to get involved and maybe become a member as well if you're not already. But if you can't make it to the show, that's okay because Roofers Coffee Shop has a full directory for NRCA. We have all the information on there about everything we've been talking about right here and also how to get in touch with them. So thanks for watching. We're not done yet, so don't go anywhere. We want to see you on the next